And what about you? Toyota 3 litre diesel, turbo diesel range of engines. It's in a Land Cruiser, Hilux, Prado, Colorado, Amazon, D4D. This is a wee bit in the town belt. So this car here, I'm just in the middle of putting new head on it, so it's pretty well stripped down. So I'm at the stage where I'm going to put the belt on. So I just thought I would shoot a wee video about the cam belt, the town belt on these things. The original, the older vehicles, it was 100,000 kilometers was the change, and then the newer sort of Land Cruisers, they've just made it 100,000 miles. Is the interval. It's most of the vehicles, one of the few vehicles there are that a light comes on the dash to remind you of the time belt interval. So they're not particularly known for snapping, but definitely you need to change the cam belt. And on these vehicles here, it is probably one of the easiest timing belts to change. And there's plenty of room once you get the fan off. Now in this vehicle here, there is a viscous fan, which is this big baby. So that is a viscous fan. So there's oil inside that, so that can freely turn, but it's stiff, and when that gets hotter, it gets stiffer again. So that's a viscous fan. The more modern ones probably have an electric fan, so you don't have to take that off. But it's very similar. I'll just show you a wee tip with that fan. A wee bit shaky here. That's where the fan normally bolts onto, those 4 bolts. So as you can see, I still have the alternator belt on. This version here has the V belts, so called because it's a V shape. And if you take the fan off and before you rotate the engine, you just stick the bolts back on again, and you don't really need to tighten them up. So to do this job, you don't even need to take the alternator belt off. On the ones with a V belt, now in the ones with the ribbed belts and the Land Cruisers, the more sort of modern versions, this car here is 25-year-old. So anything in the 2000s or thereabouts, it'll probably have a ribbed belt with an automatic spring tensioner on it. So you'll need to take that belt off because it just covers, it goes over the front of the time cover. So that's quite evident. But whenever if you have one with a viscous fan, you don't actually need to take the belts off. So as you can see, that's in situ there, and there's a new head there, and 18 bolts nail that thing down, and I just numbered them there so it didn't get out of sequence, as you can see. So that's that head nailed down, and that's going nowhere. So the cam belt, or the cam pulley, let's see if we can get that in the shot. That's the mark there for it, and that's the mark there, so you can just follow that along. So that's perfectly in time there. And the crank then, so you can get down in here. That's the crank there. There's a wee notch in the crank pulley, and there's that wee point there. I've put a wee bit of tip wax on it. You might think that's slightly out, but if you come around here, that's it, perfectly at TDC. The volume might be going up and down here a wee bit because I'm moving about so much. So, but you get the idea. The main thing is the pictures, not the sound. So this is the injection pump. Now there is a mark there. Some of the vehicles have a mark here, and you can see somebody's tip axed it, probably just for handiness because that's a wee bit out of the road. But there's also a mark there and a mark there. But generally, if you're going to do a timing belt, you don't need to borrow that mark. You can just check it. You can just check that's in situ or in position there. But go by that one there on the crank. Rotate the crank, rotate it clockwise, and just have that up. No special tools, no locking, nothing at all. And that's it. So I'll just tell you about how to disassemble this. The best way I've found anyway of disassembling this, and best way to put it on. So the tensioner knees is a hydraulic plunger, and that's her there, and it's held in with two 10mm bolts. And this one here, as you can see, is locked in position with a grenade pin. This is the one that came off this vehicle, so I was able to just squeeze that back down in the vise and put that pin back in there again. So, if you buy a kit and you get it, you'll get the tensioner like that already primed. So you want to change the tensioner if you see any oil leaking out the top, or if it's a wee bit mucky around the top, and that's the tensioners that have been in use for a brave while. If you see your car has a tensioner like that, which is a good bit longer than that, that's donkey's years old. That's a 25. That's an original 25-year-old job. So they've just made them a wee bit shorter. So the way that belt is tensioned, then it basically the wee piston out of there. If I can get this thing orientated correctly, the wee piston. I'll do a swapsies here with a hand. So that wee piston, then when you pull the grenade pin, it pushes up on this, and this must be able to swivel then. So the belt rides around that guide pulley there. So the belt has to swivel. So a very important part of this is that this roller can swivel. So what we'll have at the back is a washer. It's very important that that washer goes between the aluminium casing and the thing itself, so that can swivel. So that swivels in between the washer and there. So this one is the one out of this car, and I'll be giving it a wee bit of clean up because it's a bit mucky. So that's what you want to do. You give that a good clean up, make sure there's no debris in that at all. You can put a tiny wee touch of grease on it there, but you can see there that there's been a bit of muck has been getting in there. So it has. So I'll be cleaning that up. And yeah, it's quite sticky. So, but if you buy a kit with a cam belt, you get that tensioner and you get that ruler. So you just change the whole lot. Back onto the tensioner again, guys. There's a couple of things you maybe need to know about this. So this thing's full of oil. It's hydraulic. So when you get it, this is probably stored in a box or something, and it's sitting horizontal. So as soon as you get that out of the box, stand it upright and lean it against something. And if there's any air bubbles or whatever, that'll let them all go to the top. You don't want to just take it out of the box and hoof her on immediately. You don't want to do that. Just stand her up. That's a wee tiny tip there. The other thing is taking them off. So you've two 10mm headed bolts. So taking that off, so there's the belt's under tension. This piston's out. It's acting on the roller. So what you want to do is remove completely the bottom bolt. So completely remove that. People slacken both these bolts, and what you find is whenever you back this bolt out, not the camera again. Whenever you back this bolt out, the last couple of threads, you're going to chew up the last couple of threads there. So what you want to do is take that bolt out completely. The tensioner will remain in situ because it's still acting on the clamping force of this bolt. And then once you loosen this bolt, just a turn or whatever, once that's loose, that tensioner will just drop like that. So then you can remove that bolt, and you're not putting any sort of forces on the threads if you do it that way. So that's the way you want to do that. I've done millions of these cam belts, and it's just a wee habit I've got into, because yes, the first one I did, I loosened both bolts, and whenever you take this last one out, it's trying to push down, and you're chewing up the last couple of threads. But that's a wee tip on how to remove that. Okay, so this is the way I like to do this. I like to put the tensioner on first, and that's contrary to the procedure, the Toyota procedure. What the Toyota procedure says is put the belt on and put the pulley on, and then put your tensioner on last. But you're way down low, and with these small bolts, you're running the risk of sort of cross threading. So there's a larger bolt in the pulley, so you can get, to me you can get it lined up a lot better. But so it's only 13 mil, sorry, 13 Newton meters is the torque on these, and I have a wee bit of blue thread locker. So we just offer our belt up. So with this replacement cylinder head, it came as a kit. There's gasket set, and we got a genuine Toyota cam belt. So this just happens to be a genuine Toyota cam belt. You can use Continental make one and Gates make one, and I'm sure they're all dead on, all those sort of makes. So anyway, there's no arrows in this, but I like to have the writing facing me. Well, that makes any difference or not, but some have arrows, direction of travel, and but normally you have the writing facing you. So I might be sounding far away the odd time here, but it's just because of the position of the microphone. I have to keep the camera sort of away from me. So we'll have the belt on the injection pump pulley. So this isn't the crank. The crank drives the injection pump pulley through gearing, and this belt goes between the injection pump pulley and the camshaft. So we make sure we put our fingers down and make sure that down around this wheel, and make sure the teeth are in. And what I like to use is these wee spring clamps. So wee plastic spring clamps, they're dirt cheap. You get them in a Pound World or somewhere. So just clip one of them on, and that stops the belt from dropping off the teeth. So we put a bit of, make this sort of taut. This is the untension side, so we make this sort of taut, and we'll put it up on the cam. And you can't see that because you're out of shot, so I'll just change angle. There we go, we're back in the room. So yeah, so if all the marks are lined up correctly, this is just going to sit rest on. So we just knead it on this, keeping that nice and taut there, and that's slack. So we'll just slide that in, and then we'll get another one of our wee boys, another one of these wee boys here. So you notice I'm holding that there on my finger. So we got another one of them wee boys, and we'll clip it on there like that. So that's it, held nicely for us. So what we're going to do now is we're going to slide the pulley wheel in between this belt. Now you might think, why do you not just put the tensioner with the plunger depressed and the pulley wheel on, and then put this belt on? Well, you can't get this bit, you can't get it round the wheel. So you have to put the belt on first, as it were, and then put the tension equipment on afterwards in these. So it's not a big deal, but it's just the way it is, you know. So with our wheel, and this is nice and freed up, it's nice and cleaned up, and making sure our washer on that is super important. That washer there is the most important washer you'll ever come across. Now this can be quite fiddly, so you might have to bear with me a wee minute. So we need to get her in, and you probably can't see what I'm doing. Right, hold on. Right, so we'll get her into place, and with the belt riding on it, and straighten her up, put a bit of pressure on it just from my finger. They're 10mm Allen key, and we'll make a wee start on the threads. So if there's any resistance, you stop, because you're going to cross thread this. And it's the old chestnut steel bolt in an aluminium, and we're getting 3 or 4, 5 or 6 good turns there with my hand. So I'm just going to double check here that I have the washer in behind there. Yes, it is indeed. So I'm happy enough to rattle this on in here. So I'm just going to put, now you probably can't see what I'm doing here, you know, with my hands in the rope. Right, try and get that hand out of the way. So with that screwed in a few times by my hand, and I'm just going to rattle her in the rest of the way. So as I said earlier, you can't actually, or it's very, very difficult to get the 10 belt over this roller. It sort of has to marry up. So that's the only wee tricky bit with this, but it's not a big deal. It's just the order of events. So we'll get a torque wrench set up. So that is 34 Newton meters on that one. Right. So torque wrench set up. Needs to go the right way. What's wrong with this torque wrench? Here we go. There we go, 34 Newton meters. I must have had that clicked in correctly. Right. And now, probably the most satisfying bit of this, I just simply pull the pin. And that's it. No big dramas. So you see that tension, the pulley wheel moved up a wee bit, and that's taking the tension up. So, take these clips off. So all we need to do now then is just rotate this crank down here. This crank down here. Rotate that twice. So that'll turn this just the once. So rotate that twice. That'll come back round up the top again. See these lines in this? You know, these actually just so happens that the match up. There's a line down here at the bottom. I'll get you on. Got one there. There's a line down there at the bottom on the injector pump. Now, I didn't pay any notice of those at all there, but and then there's one on the top, but on the cam wheel. But that's well, they just happen to line up. Not all belts maybe mightn't have them lines, but I didn't pay any attention to them at all. You know, so when you rotate that around again, they'll never match up anyway. So you just match it up with the with that, and you just look on it from, you know, from this way here, and you can follow it onto the wee mark on the casing and on the crank, then that pointer in the crank. And there's something seriously wrong if this goes out, because the injector wheel is geared to the crank, so you know that will follow that unless you've been doing something with injector pump, or you know you've replaced it or done something. There's that will always marry that. So if you're just doing a cam belt change, you don't really need to be too bothered with that pulley wheel there at all regarding timing or marks or anything like that. So there we go. You just get the cover on after you've taken it a couple of times, and make sure she marries up, and that's it. That's the easiest cam belt job that you'll ever have. So there you go, that's that for this one. The sound might have been all over the place a wee bit in this video, but it's more what's going on in the pictures. So I tried to get it in the best I could there, but hopefully you get the idea. And yeah, there's D4Ds, all the 3-litre turbo diesel Toyotas, the Land Cruisers and stuff. It's the same procedure. They haven't changed this engine for donkeys for like 30 years, I'm sure. So yeah, that's it. There's no excuse not to do this cam belt. It's a gift. It's an absolute gift, as I say. So many thanks for watching. Rambled on for long enough. Hopefully it helps you out. Maybe helps somebody out there. And all the best. And bye bye.